Hello and welcome to the section 2.3 lecture today. Today we're talking about applying integer operations. So we want to look at all the things that we've done with integer operations. That means we're combining everything from addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division. So we're using everything today. And so when you use everything, it's good to talk about how do I use everything? Not just, all right, here we go, throw me off the deep end. We want to know what is the proper order of operations. Okay. We're going to look at a little simplified version for now, but it does get more complex. If we have parentheses, we do want to work with anything inside our parentheses first, but if we don't, we're going to start with multiplication and division, typically from left to right. When we get more complex systems going on, we want to be really clear that we're working from left to right. So multiplication and division first, then addition and subtraction. So for our first example, it says Hannah made 4 withdrawals of $20 from her checking account. She also wrote a check for $215. So all those things are negative changes. Okay, all those will negatively change the amount that's in her checking account. So we had 4 withdrawals of $20, which we can write negative 20 plus negative 20 plus negative 20 plus negative 20 if we want to, or we can just write that as 4 times negative 20. And then we also had that $215 check, so we're going to add negative $215 because checks, again, come out of that account. We want to multiply first. 4 times negative 20 is negative 80. And then we want to subtract or add the opposite, whichever one you want to do. But you should get negative 295. And does that seem reasonable? Does that seem like it's something that could have happened? Well, sure. She kept taking money out of her account, so there's money gone from her account. Yeah, that's what happens. Money disappears a lot easier than it reappears. Reggie lost, so this is an exercise for us. Reggie lost 3 spaceships in level 3 of a video game. He lost 30 points for each spaceship. When he completed level 3, he earned a bonus of 200 points. How much did his score change? Okay, well, we need to write this as an equation. So this level 3, it's kind of a distractor, right? It doesn't really matter. Yes, it's a number in the problem, but it doesn't really matter. I don't want you to get caught up on that. So he did lose 3 spaceships, and he lost points for every spaceship. So 3 times, he lost 30 points. Okay. But at the end, he earned a bonus, which would be an addition step of 200 points. So let's see what his overall score was. 3 times negative 30 is negative 90 plus 200. Again, integer operations, addition, different signs. Think about subtraction. 110 and keep the sign from the bigger one. So we end with 110 points. All right, this problem here. I have negative 6 times 13 minus 21. Do the multiplication first. Okay, we need to know what 13 times 6 is. If you're unsure, take it off to the side, and we get 78. With a negative 6, that's going to be negative 78 minus 21. We can think about subtraction as add the opposite if we want to, but either way, we're going to get negative 99. Okay. Next set is about using negative integers to represent quantities. So it says that you can use positive and negative integers to solve problems involving amounts that increase or decrease. Sometimes you may need to use more than one operation. It says 3 brothers each have their own savings. They borrow $72 from their parents for concert tickets. I don't know if they each borrow 72, but we'll have to see. Oh, I don't think so, because each brother must pay back an equal share of that $72. Okay. Also, the youngest brother owes his parents $15. So this is in addition to that $72, or their share of that $72. Because it wouldn't be fair for all 3 brothers to have to pitch in for these $15, because the other 2 brothers don't owe the parents anything from that $15. By how much will the youngest brother's savings change after he pays his parents? So we are worried about that youngest brother, okay, the one that owes the additional $15. So we set the problem up. We're looking at signs. We know that everything's going to be negative because we're looking at his account, how much his account is going to change, not how much money are the parents going to get. Now, the tricky part about that is, at the end of the day, if we find out how much that brother owes the parents, you can just if we think about it as how much he owes, you can then just make it negative, and that's how his savings account changes. Okay, we get into these savings account ideas because that's really the only way we can get to negative numbers. You wouldn't say you wouldn't say that any other way than just how much does that brother lose. But even talking about how much do they lose, you could phrase that in a negative and it means the same thing. So a lot of mess. We just deal with accounts. That's why everything in this module has talked about these mystery accounts that these kids have. Okay, so we do have to find an equal share for that youngest brother. So since there's 3 brothers, we're going to take that negative 72 and divide it by 3, and then we're going to add in the negative $15 that the youngest brother does owe. So we do the division. Negative 72 divided by 3 is negative 24, plus that negative 15. So then we want to add that together, and we have the same sign, so we add them, 39, make it negative. Okay, so his account will decrease by $39. Suppose there were 4 brothers in example 2. How much would the youngest brother need to pay? So this problem changes a little bit in that we take our negative 72 and we divide it by 4. And then we still have to deal with the $15 extra. 72 divided by 4, that could take a little work. Take it off to the side and do it this way, the old school way. That's 1, gives us 4, subtracting 3, 32, that's 8, so that's $18. So the equal share amongst 4 brothers would be $18, so we write that as negative 18 plus negative 15. Okay, so adding those together, they have the same sign, so we add them, 33, and make it negative. So our final answer is negative 33. That's what we end up with. Okay. Let's see, moving on here. We have a couple your turn problems. We have a negative 12 divided by 6 plus 2. So do the division first. Even if it wasn't the first thing, we do have to move from left to right. So do the division first. Negative 12 divided by 6 is negative 2. So I'm going to write that as kind of an intermediate step. Negative 2 plus 2. Negative 2 plus 2 is 0. Okay. Negative 87 divided by negative 3. Well, I do know that negative 90 divided by negative 3 would be 30. So this is probably going to be 29. Okay, so we have 29. Of course, we could have gone numbers-wise, 387 There's 2 of those. That leaves 6, subtract 2, 27, 9. We get the same thing. So we get 29 there, and we subtract 9 here. 29 minus 9 is 20, and we're good to go. Let's see, the next one I have 40 divided by negative 5. That's going to be negative 8. And we're going to add 30. Negative 8 plus 30 is positive 22. Okay. Next one, 39, negative 39 divided by 3 is going to be negative 13. And then we're going to subtract 15. We have a negative and we're subtracting, so it's becoming more negative. Basically, we add those together and make it a negative answer. 28. Negative 28. Okay, so those are some good examples of really what order of operations to follow, which is going to take me right into my code word. Code word time. It's all about order. Order has to be our code word. Okay, O-R-D-E-R, order. The last thing we'll look at is how to compare values of expressions, so we can kind of tell, which one has more money, which one owes the least amount of money, any of those kinds of responses. So in this last example here, we have Jill and Tony that play a board game in which they move counters along a board. Jill moves her counter back 3 spaces 4 times. That's kind of confusing, but we'll look at it. And then moves her counter forward 6 spaces. Tony moves his counter back 2 spaces 3 times, and then moves his forward 3 spaces 1 time. We want to find each player's overall change in position and then figure out who moved farther. So to deal with Jill's movement, she moves back 3 spaces, so we think of that as a negative 3, and she does that 4 times. So we say that's 4 times negative 3. Then she moves forward 6, so plus 6. Okay, deal with the multiplication first. We get negative 12 plus 6 is negative 6. Tony, on the other hand, moves back 2 spaces, so that's a negative 2. He does that 3 times, so that's 3 times negative 2 plus 3. We get negative 6 plus 3 is negative 3. Okay, and then just to compare who moves farther, not that it's a good thing, but I guess Jill moves farther than Tony in the wrong direction. Okay, I probably wouldn't ask that question that way. I would say, like, who's in a better position at this point? Like, who moved farther forward? But yes, Jill moved farther than Tony, just in the wrong direction. All right, let's look at these last couple exercises here. Amber and Will are in line together to buy tickets. Amber moves back by 3 places 3 times to talk to friends. She then invited 2 more. She then is invited to move 5 spaces up in line. Will moved back 4 places twice, then moved up in line by 3 spaces. Who moved farther back in line? So for Amber, 3 times she moved back 3 spaces. Then she moved up 5 spaces. For Will, moved back 4 spaces twice, so 2 times negative 4, and then moved up in line by 3 spaces. 3 times negative 3 is negative 9, plus 5 is negative 4. 2 times negative 4 is negative 8, plus 3 is negative 5. So Will moved farther back. Okay, last couple problems here. Negative 10 divided by negative 2 is negative 5. Minus 2 is negative 7. Negative 28 divided by negative 4, or divided by 4 is negative 7, plus 1 is negative 6. It says circle the greater value. I'm thinking greater as farther to the right, so it's negative 6. For this one, 42 divided by negative 3 is going to give us I think we just did that, but sometimes, my brain just doesn't remember. 3 minus 1, 2, 14. So that's going to be negative 14 plus 9 is negative 5. 36 divided by negative 36 divided by 9 is negative 4. Minus 2 is going to be negative 6. So this one is a greater value is then farther to the right. Get the reflection done. Make sure you write in the code word. And have a great day, and we'll see you in class.